Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympics since '92? How do they do it? Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Sport is alive and well at Bond University.
welcome or welcome back, depending on how much of Jarrah Corporate Pride Round you've been enjoying with us today on the official AFLQ YouTube channel. This is game number 3, the feature match between the home side, the Aspley Hornets, and the Bond University Bull Sharks. Yes, it is a grand final rematch on Pride Round, on the one ground that I think is actually bigger than the ground they played the grand final on. It's a 164 metre long arena here at the South Pine Sporting Complex. My name is Daniel Viles. With me, welcome back from the other side of the world, Hannah Davies.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Yes, I feel really special that I get to come back from 3 or 4 weeks off and come straight back to the grand final rematch. And for Pride Round, which is extra special for me. It's a wonderful round, and we can see Tyler Higson there starting us off.
So Rachel Anstey with the tap down out to the far side. But Bond University get the first bit of forward momentum, heading towards Abby Bevan as the commentator destroys the furniture. But it's Bond University who are making the advance in their white Pride Round jerseys. This is the 4th year they've worn that design, and they've had a lot of success in it. So should get the first inside 50 as it's out to Talia Meyer on the wing. Goes to short pass. Possession more important than territory just at the moment. Collegia darts one inside 50, looking for Bevan, but that was always going to skid out of bounds.
So second time these two teams clashed this season. Last was back in round 5 when Aspley beat Bond 47-20 at home. Neutral ground though today, and a little bit windy down on the grounds, but beautiful weather otherwise.
As I said in the previous game, I went down at half-time to check the weather. I faced one way and the wind was blowing in my face. I turned around and the wind was also blowing in my face. Comes out to Nolan, looking for Collegia wide, bounces before going out. Now, maybe when we're outside 50, we'll just talk a bit more about the significance of the day, which sometimes the pace of the football doesn't allow that. But, I mean, I'm 47 years old, and the general attitude in Australia to the LGBTIQA plus community, and I remember when that was only 3 letters.
Yeah, it's a fantastic round, and I think what it celebrates is not only, you know, our attitudes to the queer community going forward, but also it acknowledges the history of that community in this sport, in particular women's AFL. It is synonymous, I think it's fair to say, with women's AFL. And not only the players, but I mentioned the umpires as well. Plenty of umpires who represent that community. And a special shout out to Tyler Higson with his incredible hair. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but if you are down on the grounds, get a glimpse of it. It looks fantastic. So great to see both sides and the umps all getting around it. Strong
tackle from Shannon Nolan on the outside, but turned over to Courtney Daniels, who's standing in as captain for Aspley today in the absence of Emma Pittman. Of course, she captained Aspley for about the previous 5 years, sometimes a co-captain with the recently retired Ange Lingard, who we haven't had a chance to acknowledge on commentary yet, but congratulations on a wonderful career, Ange. And it's going to be a shame to not see you out there. Towards Anstey. And Davidson working in the ruck. Apologies, that was Maisie Evans, who's leading the hit-out count for this year. Liesi. Because she's got a 50-metre kick, she can disguise it and then just go for the little dink. Underneath, Jasmine Kawa just cops some high contact, and she'll have a free kick on the left wing. But yes, I can tell you that in the early 90s, Aussie rules clubs were safe spaces for a very, very narrow demographic. It wasn't even just white straight men, it was a subset of that. Emma McNaughton recently into the first grade side, just dropped the mark coming through, but the tackle from Louise Tyson brings things to a halt. Wind blowing seems to be right to left at the moment, but then I'm looking at, in fact, the flags are blowing in opposite directions. I don't know.
We could say swirling, perhaps.
That's a good word. Through to Collegia. Just goes over the top of Ari Clark. Her first came back since she kicked 4 for Queensland against Tasmania. Chip over the top to Collegia, who'd run into space.
Lovely start, though, from Bond in terms of possession.
What about that in a moment? Infield, not quite the sweetest kick. Does fall through, however. Off target. CJ Landwehr getting it on the boot. Opens the scoring, but perhaps not in the way she wanted. In fact, if I mucked that, sorry, I didn't even open the scoring. That was that's a muck up from the commentator. And the scorers are staring daggers at me. She's got a free kick.
You'd be forgiven, though. The scoreboard down here on the field also changed, so clearly not the only one.
Goal now, however. A major for CJ Landwehr. It's her third of the year. And Bond's territorial dominance in the opening stages has yielded a result early. I suppose the danger sign for Aspley is that when they played Southport, they got off to a slow start as well. Mind you, the Southport tsunami was in big effect that day. Now, the reason the scorers put it behind on the board is because they're to their left and I threw them to our left and I threw them a bum steer.
That's right, Daniel. Happens to the best of us.
And me.
But a fantastic start from Bond.
Yeah.
I think Aspley potentially caught a little bit off guard. Of course, they are the in-form team. They went 9 rounds undefeated. It was only Southport in round 10 that were finally able to put a stop to that run.
And Southport and Maroochydore are on this field next, but with a lot of football to play before then as Bond lost the clearance, then regained. Jess Davey working very hard on the outside, as is Hannah Sass, who's first year at Aspley from UQ and returned from injury. And a good wide running player. Evans in the ruck. The tackling from O'Flaherty. Very strong. Then there was opportunity. O'Flaherty wins a free kick for the Hornets.
So finally time for the Hornets to spread. Hopefully pick up a bit of pace here. Unfortunately, though, drops and straight back into the hands of Bond.
That was Lightfoot. Got it forward to Maisie Evans. But another opportunity. O'Flaherty gets a chance to redeem herself. Takes it. Just over the head of Watt Farah. But good play at the back. Athletic work from Balcom, who's just come back into the side after a few weeks out with concussion. Good to see Sophie Balcom back. And then the wide running of Gemma Blair finds Talia Meyer.
Really lovely use of that far wing from Bond.
And that was Nolan, not Blair before. I usually mix Blair up with Collegia, but just thought I'd try something different. Not missed by Ernst. And then off the hands of Bevan out of bounds. Actually, it's not Collegia, it's Iverack. I'm getting mixed up with the players I get mixed up. It's my third game today. Hannah, have mercy on me.
It certainly is a massive day for women's footy, isn't it? Fantastic down here at Brendale. Great conditions, plenty on the line as we head into the final weeks of the season.
Beautiful work from Jess Davey to pick out Drew Barnes. Scored on debut last week. So they go further inside 50. Watt Farah. Important today with Jess Stallard not playing.
And just fantastic timing from her, just holding on to her opposition until the last minute.
Beautiful run to Tyson. Tyson looking to lay it up. Falls goal side. Needs to be socked through by Davey. How that was kept out. Good work from Blair on the ground. Then Davidson thereafter. They're outside 50. Might need a bit of luck here. And they got a bit with 2 bounces of the ball. O'Connor inside was looking for Anstey. And they haven't quite locked it in. In fact, they haven't locked it in. Nolan breaks free, finds Sexton through the middle. Superb work to clear their own defensive line from Bond Uni without conceding. Ari Clark, Kendall has front position. The bounce isn't great. McNiven possibly got it without the ball. And Kendall will have a set shot. I don't think McNiven could see that the ball had been released. And so Tashinta Kendall, I think this is her second or third year in Aussie rules, having come over from rugby.
Yeah, she's been fantastic for this side. You'd have to think that was a little bit of luck, though. Just unfortunate for the defence.
A little bit more on Elise McNiven at the moment, but right now it's all about Tashinta Kendall. Mostly reserve grade this year, but has got an opportunity today. So a bit of work to do there for Kendall, but she is working hard. Minor score, 7-point lead to Bond Uni. And I'll just sneak this in. Ladies' Day at Aspley earlier this year. Elise McNiven, in a frock, high heels, went onto the field, was at 45 metres, I think, absolutely drained a set shot. And I've not seen video yet, and that is a crime. Good work from Kawa.
It could be coming.
Oh, I've also asked Enhanced Football to check the technique for kicking in heels. As Aspley working it out well, 2 passes out from the kick-in. Tyson just back of right wing. Had O'Connor to her right, but thought, no, I need to go further forward. Wat Farah hit the ground just ahead of play. Got back to her feet. Strong tackle from Perry, who also returns to the side this week after at least 1 week's absence. And her performance down at Bond University in that win, I think she had 25 disposals, most of which were effective. And between her and Jasmine Kawa, that midfield was dominated. Good work from O'Flaherty, then Tyson. And Aspley just on top in the last couple of minutes, apart from one period where Bond broke away and Kendall got it behind. Kawa over the top, as I said, was outstanding in the ruck in that win over Bond. O'Flaherty getting very, very involved early, wrapping around that tackle with Davey. Davey at the back, just knocking it free. Apologies, that was Kawa. Sass standing guard outside, waiting for a crumb. And usually when there's a delay that long, it's because the umpire has seen an opportunity to release and they haven't taken it. So it will be Kaslar. Just back of the circle. She goes centrally, goes to the contest. Kendall gets in front. Will drive it. It's a low kick, nearly caught low down to the ground by Maisie Evans. Then back to, is that called a dangerous tackle? It's certainly a free kick to Aspley.
I'm loving what Kendall is bringing. It was just a little bit of skill execution that let her down there, but the idea was completely right. And you just can't mistake her speed off the mark.
I mean, that's why she's both a draft prospect and a regular reserve grader, because people can see the enormous talent she's got, and they say, if we can just polish it up a bit, something very special. Infield, and Tyson has made a strong start, and water makes things wet. O'Connor hooks it around, looking for the run of Sass. Intercepted by Samuels. She's a left footer. Samuels, low kick. Clark went for the specky, didn't get it. Went past Evans, and Aspley's done enough in defence. They had 4 defenders back there, and they all had each other's back. Bounces in no woman's land, ahead of Liesi. Eventually saw her way free. Good work from Liesi. Picked off by Khalija. Khalija from a fair way out. Just evades Evans. Inside. Trickling through. Bella Davies. Touched on the way through.
Yeah, umpire's got the hand up. Very lucky to get a hand on that. The Hornets. Definitely feel that Bond have control of this game so far, but Aspley's fight has certainly been evident.
Serena Bones, Kawa, good body position against Kaslar. And then a throw in the contest gives the free kick to Kaslar, who's throwing herself around early. Still the only player to captain both the Lions and Suns at AFLW level, Leah Kaslar. The mark dropped by Evans, but it will spill back to Sonny Hewitt. Sonny Hewitt on the snap. That's brilliant from Sonny Hewitt.
It was incredible work from Sonny to get free as well. Aspley choosing the one-on-one defence rather than a float, so there was pretty much no space as Khalija was trying to put that one in the 50.
So there's one worrying sign for Aspley is they're tracking people like Ari Clark very well. They're keeping Maisie Evans, who can be a threat, under control, but the goals are coming from the midfielders pushing forwards. And so I don't know, I don't think Aspley, they can play a one-on-one defence, but it tends to be zonal from what I've observed. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're making sure that you defend the opposition players in your zone.
And that's the danger of a team like Bond, and we saw that last year in, of course, their double premiership season, is that there aren't really any weak links on that field.
And again, usual rule in this commentary box is you talk about the players who are there rather than the players who aren't. But when you've got Lucy Pengelly, Emma Pittman and Jess Stallard out, and particularly Pengelly and Pittman, Pengelly in particular, I've had a few opposition coaches say the way that Aspley's defence is structured, Pengelly's the most important defender. And she's out today. Good mark in the middle by Sexton. I'm not betraying confidence because a few coaches have said that completely unprompted.
No, I think that's a very fair call, Daniel.
Hewitt with the shot. Will go over the top. It was certainly touched on the way through, but it missed anyway. Umpires for today's game. You've mentioned Tyler Higston. He's joined in the field by Mitchell Blashik. On the boundary, Sam Kelly and Will Kelly. And in goal, Harper Eyre and James Hodgson. And you will see the white flags are behind, and then the 7 coloured flags for goals.
And our umpires, of course, a big thank you to Bradnam's Windows and Doors. Massive shout out the whole season in big support of our umpiring team.
Good tackle from Sass. Releases it, not able to get away from Hewitt. Towards Clark. Good work coming from the back from O'Connor. Vastly experienced. Maybe doesn't have to play as big a role usually in defence. But today she's stepping up already. O'Flaherty through to Danietz. Danietz, usually a precise kick. She was there. It's just that Davidson read it very well from the back. But then knocked forward. Infield to Wap Farah, who played at Bond, I think, back in 2018 or so. She's had 4th club now. That's not a criticism, that's just what she's done.
It does look as if, though, she is being targeted there by the Bond defence, obviously viewing her as a key target for Aspley today and trying to shut her down.
She scored one of the goals of the year at Bond University when, on a wet day when the ball was being fumbled around, she picked up the ball on the run from 25 out and kicked a goal on a tight angle. And everyone said, yeah, that's Katara.
Looks as if Jasmine Davidson's got the job at the moment. Just keep an eye on that one, just at the far end of your camera.
And Davidson's been almighty at centre half back this year. Has taken a turn in the ruck today as Bond looked to break away. Been able to turn it over at right half back. Ernst uses her experience. Ernst versus Kaslar. That was literally an AFLW battle in 2017. Now towards Sass. Sexton got wide, found the run of Taylor. Just holding up in the breeze. Out the back towards Collegia. Tries to get away from Thompson. Thompson says no. Back towards Clark. Kendall. That's a beautiful pickup from Perry. Aspley doing lots of good things, but not connecting enough of them to get outside of their 50. They might have a chance now as Anstey says Pretty is overrated. Whack. Outside to Nolan. Blair, who's usually named at fullback, but I noticed in the last couple of games we've had on the camera that she runs up a lot higher now. Give it a lot more freedom to run out of defence. But they've regained back inside 50. Repeat entry for Bond. Collegiate misread a mark. It does happen. Perry was looking for the run of Anstey, and then Anstey ran straight past her. Lovely from Perry. Well, it would have been had an annoying little bit of paint not been there. And speaking of the AFLW in the early days, this was the Lions' first home ground.
It was indeed.
2017-18, 5 games here. And I think I've mentioned this every game so far today, but Kate McCarthy scoring to your left, having gathered the ball to our right in the left half-back flank, and then going on a 5-bounce run through the middle of the field. And then she left Brisbane and broke my heart. Enough of that. Good intercept mark. It's taken, I believe that's Blair on the far side. Fair distance away. It's a left foot kick. That's almost certainly Blair. Liesi with front position. Withstood the pressure from behind. Meyer. Lovely little flick pass. Nolan. Sexton. Moody, sorry. Taylor. Through to Clark. Using the handball well. Light foot. Looking for something in a bit of space. Was looking for Kendall. Bryant read it. And then got a horrible bounce. Kendall looks to fumble. Has 4 Hornets around her. The handball went straight back to a bull shark, but they've been able to work it out well through Lanigan. Lanigan will come wide. Not her favourite kick of her career, but it was nearly saved by McNaughton. She comes wide and has done well to come back from the front line of attack. Up towards Kawa. Good use of the body in defence from Bond. That was Balcom. And Balcom will drive it back forward. Looking for over the head of Clark. Kendall decided that was the time to make a ruck contest when there wasn't one. Now, Bevan, good tackle. The question was whether it was over the shoulders. It wasn't. And Bevan gets the free kick. About 50 out. And I think O'Connor has been ruled to have run through the mark. And so that's been advanced 50. And Abby Bevan has 6 goals for the year. for about the next 10 seconds. Umpire very helpfully providing the GPS. 7th goal of 2024 for Abby Bevan. Bond University extend their lead to 21 here on Jarrah Corporate Pride Round.
Well, Daniel, a 3-0 start. Is this what you would have expected from Aspley, the in-form team so far this season?
Yeah, again, the outs did concern me. Now, there's quality coming in. Jamie Bryant, who's come in this week, she's achieved a bit. Also, the step up for Eloise O'Connor. That one I did notice. Now, umpires call it as they see it. Ari Clark did give just a consolation pat on the back after the 50, as if to say unlucky there. But at quarter time, we'll hear more from Hannah Davies after the break. But Bond University 3-3-21, leading Aspley yet to score. This is round 12 of the Bond University QAFLW at the South Pine Sports Complex in Brendale. It's Jarrah Corporate Pride Round.
The Aspley Bond University QAFLW team. AFL Queensland is committed to providing a safe, fun and inclusive environment for all people, including those of diverse sexualities and genders. Today's Jarrah Corporate Pride Round is an opportunity to raise awareness that the challenges still facing LGBTQI+ athletes and officials within our sport. And today is a great chance to remind our community that there is zero tolerance for any form of homophobia, biphobia or transphobia. Today is also a great celebration of our pride community and the Queensland footy environment, and we are passionate about helping people lead happy, healthy and active lives. We celebrate the diversity of all participants in our game. Today is a great way to bring all parts of our community together. A huge thank you to Jarrah Corporate for sponsoring our statewide Pride match. And a huge thank you to the athletes that worked hard for their health in this Olympic run. We are a few market stalls and vendors around the place, so please hop around the corner between the two ovals and support those that are supporting us today. Otherwise, we do have a full afternoon of football ahead, so please stick around and enjoy the footy.
Queensland, right? Home for Australia? Baseball for Australia. So is it Taylor Welch who played for Yeronga who also played baseball for Australia?
We actually used to date really long a while ago, but yeah.
Sure.
But yes, she has played baseball for Australia for a really long time.
Yeah. So also, I don't know whether you've come across Molly Patterson, who made the Queensland Olympics Bond University 3-3-21 leading Aspley, no score. The wind has been a factor throughout the day. We're about to find out how much it's been. I'm Daniel Viles. With me is Hannah Davies. Hannah, goal scorers and thoughts, please.
That's right, Daniel. It's game 3 for anyone who is just tuning in for their first game. But of course, our goal kickers for Bond University, all three. Firstly, CJ Landwehr, Sonny Hewitt, and Abby Bevan. So as I said, all three to Bond. But if you've been watching this first quarter, you probably wouldn't expect that it would be a 3-0 game. Aspley not on the scoreboard at all yet.
Well, they are running to the left, and while the wind has been swirling, by and large, the left has been the scoring end. We certainly saw that in the Yeronga-Wilston Grange game early. And then to a lesser degree, the wind was less reliable in the second game where UQ, I think it's fair to say, caused an upset.
Absolutely.
Over Cooperoo. Their 5th win in 25 games against the Kings. Tyson out of the middle. Danietz looking inside 50. The target's Wap Farah. Went behind her. Balcom was strong at the back and then cleaned up Davidson. There was important work before that as well. Balcom wrapped up by O'Flaherty, but Balcom was good enough to get a handball away to Lightfoot. They're outside 50. Tyson. Oh, it was Anstey off the ball, just cleaned up Maisie Evans. Been around a while, Anstey. She knows the law. She knows which way umpires are looking. Work out of the bottom from Collegia. Taken by Davey, having a brilliant season. Bryant, natural left footer. I was about to say burned her opponent, but again, that annoying paint. Why do they have boundaries? Otherwise, crowd control will be difficult, I suppose. And so a boundary throw-in just behind that AFL Queensland Jarrah Corporate Pride Round flag. And you could see it was just dying down for a second and then picked up speed just as that ball was thrown in. Alana Perry was just having a bit of trouble controlling the ball, so she thought, well, I'll put on a big tackle instead. Release it for Tyson. She goes inside 50. That's what Aspley do. Emma McNaughton. Outstanding year in reserve grade, now getting a chance at the top level. Kick to a stationary target.
That was a fantastic intercept, Mark.
Talia Meyer.
Saw that from a mile away. And a lovely little delivery to follow it up. Bond's structure has been spectacular, and you're seeing it right now. This switch down the wing, cutting in now into the nearly into the 50. That is class.
Went through Kaslar to Kendall. Kendall drives it long. It's probably the best kick she's had so far. Could fall nicely for Davies. Had a kick through, touched in flight in the first quarter. Haven't quite done enough. Davies with the second effort. That's beautiful. Scored on debut last week. Has a second goal in her second match. And Bond, possibly into the wind, are 4.5 goals to the good.
And just what a play that was. It just looks seamless. Everyone seems to know their role right now at Bond. And Bella Davies, like, it got a little bit messy down there, but Bond Uni just showing why they are reigning premiers. So Aspley still yet to hit the scoreboard. And Bond sit on 4-3-27. Played under 3 minutes here at Brendale. And it is game 3 of the day. One more to come later. And Tyler Higson gets us underway again.
It's Liesi, who likes to throw herself into games. Often from the opening bounce. Sometimes the ball doesn't always go your way, and it's the other midfielders who are brought into play, but started the season with a bang, Liesi. Holding the ball. And Tyson. Probably Aspley's best so far today. Looking for the one-on-one contest. Davidson, superb.
Very surprised that one was play on. I thought she had a great hand to it.
Oh, Hickson had a good view. Davidson, been a ruck for the last few years, but has been moved to centre halfback this year. And I asked her, is that to increase your chances of getting drafted? And she said, yeah. Tyson. Up towards Wat Farah. Bounce to her, but a good bounce. McNaughton gets goal side. Emma McNaughton. No less than Aspley deserved.
Well, that should serve them well in terms of scoreboard pressure. Really don't want to slip away more than 3 goals. So 6:27 is the margin. And Aspley really need to take that momentum, go on a little run here.
Third game in top grade, that's a second goal. Some good work through the middle. And yeah, maybe they had a bit of luck with the Davidson mark decision. But that was 50 metres from goal. There was a lot of work to do after that. And again, I mean, I do harp on her most weeks, but Louise Tyson's work initially at half forward when she came to Aspley, and then she's gradually worked her way into the centre of the field. I try to calm down on old draft this player and all the rest of it, partly because I love this competition. You know, I'm greedy, I want them to stay here. But I don't know, I see Louise Tyson as being very draftable. We'll see what happens.
And I think part of that positional change, Daniel, also is down to fitness. I think she's always had that capability and that natural ability in the midfield, but I think what's impressed as she's, you know, developed into the game is just getting up her fitness, and now she's really thriving in there.
Kawa. Find Perry in a good position. Inside towards Liesi, just didn't quite have the legs to get to it, and possibly the wind involved again. Lightfoot's able to clear. Over the top of, that was Maisie Evans. Nolan coming the other way, was out-fought by Tyson. Just a hint of a chicken wing tackle there, but all's fair. Anstey falls inside, infield. Comes back to Barnes. Looking for Watt Farah. Great work from Balcom behind her. Beating Watt Farah one-on-one is not the easiest thing in the world. And Sophie Balcom's having an outstanding season. Inside from Samuels. That was a good handball under pressure. I believe that was Hewitt clearing. McNiven looks for the safety of the boundary as she knew Ari Clark was behind her.
So the question for Aspley now is, what do they do with Katara? Because she's being targeted. They've seen her as a key forward target, and she's being marked very closely, and Bond currently winning that battle. So probably when you need one of your small, zippy forwards to come in, create a bit of chaos as the ball's coming down.
Well, I'm going to argue we just saw that with McNaughton's goal.
This is true. This is very true.
And if Watt Farah, as Aspley get a free kick just back of left wing, just decides, okay, I'm being neutralised, you are underestimating the rest of our forwards.
Yeah.
Let them do it.
Completely agree.
Landwehr, well cut off by Ernst. Had a few years out of football, Dr. Ernst. Very successful in her career. Gets a second opportunity. Tyson, and towards Davey. But great to see her back playing footy as Liesi pumps forward towards Kawa. Got front position, good pressure from Moody behind her. Talia Meyer wrapped up.
Gemma Blair for them.
Sorry, they were carrying Talia Meyer. Where I hope Dion got a photo of that, or any other photographers here today, because that was magnificent. Sorry, Hannah.
No.
So that was about 7.5 minutes in. Driven inside 50. Watt Farah went forward. There's space behind the contest. McNaughton. Now, the contact will be interesting. Yes, McNaughton has a free kick. Again, Davidson wouldn't have realised that McNaughton hadn't gained possession. Put the tackle on. The smart thing she did was do it outside of the goal square, so the angle is difficult. But what?
Tricky call to make, isn't that?
I think it was the correct one, but you're right. Umpires have to be brave in the circumstances. McNaughton, she's having a good 2024. Firstly in reserves, now in top grade.
Yeah, just with that call, sorry, Daniel, I was talking about the defensive tackle. It's more so, not the umpiring. The umpiring was perfection. But, you know, whether to have a crack at it and go for it, or to hold off at the risk of being penalised, but then, you know, you let McNaughton run further, and she could kick it very well anyway.
I'd be interested to know, I suspect, and my football career basically is comedy, but I suspect that always err on the side of making the tackle. And I do know when we had Stevie Olorenshaw in the commentary box a couple of times last year, the Andy Lovell mantra is the first option is the best option. Indecision is worse than the wrong decision. And so I don't think Jasmine Davidson will be punished for what it turned out to be an error. I mean, you know, hindsight is she did the wrong thing, but Vanderweel at the back. Yeah, if you don't know, I think she made the better mistake. McNaughton coming wide. Strong work on the ground from Gabby Roberts, who Luke Glackham was very impressed with last week on her return to first grade. It's Robertson, the number 33. Landwehr able to play on. Looking towards Kendall, and in front of her, Sonny Hewitt came across and took the mark. Forward momentum, looking for Clark. Important work at the back. Just dropped by McNiven. Clark has a bit of space. McNiven shut it down. Thompson trying to battle her way through. Hewitt knocks it out. Went back towards Bevan. Van der Weel at the back. And a lovely step out of defence from Jess Davey. I don't know which Aspley player to praise first, because there are about 5 of them involved in that defensive effort. Because Ari Clark does not need a lot of time or space. So wind appears to be a factor today, and it could be that at the end of this match we're saying the most important goal of the day was that one scored by Bella Davies into the wind. Brilliant from O'Flaherty. Handballs forward to Watt Farah. Went for the 1-2. May get it in the end. O'Flaherty, I've seen a score from this distance before, but not with that kind of kick. May go through to Barnes. Blair very cleverly knocks it through for a minor. No, O'Flaherty in the elimination final last year on Mackenzie Arnold night, scoring immediately in the 4th term with bursting out of the pack and putting a left footer in from about there. Yes, we love our footy, but I think that has to be called Mackenzie Arnold night, that one. Just dropped. Collegia is going to take mark of the century at one point, but not just then. Perry moves wide into the path of Barnes. Davidson tracking back. Got a Shepherd. Barnes on the snap. Missed to the right.
So just a bit of inaccuracy now from Aspley, having all the right opportunities. But just that finishing touch is what's missing. Currently trailing 13 with just under 9 minutes to play in this first half.
Gabby Roberts sees it over the paint. The importance of that is that Bond have only just cleared 50. Did see in one of the previous games, because the wind got strong, the defence was pushed up so high. Not only was there no one in defensive 50, there was no one in the centre square. All the defenders were standing up between the square and the arc. That's how strong the wind was, and they felt they could come up that high. Van der Weel hooks back inside 50, just falls ahead of Barnes, who's looking comfortable in first grade.
So it certainly looks like this left side of the field is going to be the scoring field. And again, Danny, you mentioned how the wind is having an impact on that. Already Aspley 2, both through the hands of McNaughton.
It's behind Moody working hard. Danietz soccers from in front. Barnes versus Blair. Blair ends up running it out. Bond structures, particularly anything with Grace Moody in the back line, is always going to be well organised. I'm not sure that she even has the main role for organising the background. She's just that good at it. Free kick to Aspley. Bit of pushing behind the contest. Goes to Jess Davey. She certainly has a long pass. And she has scored a few this season. 4 to be precise. Within range. Not with that kick, came off the top of the boot. They're not quite marked in the square. It's still loose. McNaughton went for a soccer off the ground and Balcom opts for the safety of the point. Back to an even 2-goal margin. It's funny how going from a 13-point margin to a 12-point margin can have a psychological effect. There's a good battle on the near side between O'Flaherty, I think it was Landwehr before that. Lightfoot wrapped up. As O'Flaherty, I think she just turned over her shoulder at maybe just a quick word from Landwehr. Not singling her out. Kaslar in the ruck, which I think she played for Coolangatta when they won their premiership in 2016. Not many places Kaslar hasn't played on a footy park.
So we just saw before Tiana Ernst coming on for Lucy Thompson in that defensive lineup for Aspley.
Landwehr hooks out of the back. Thanks, Hannah. Collegia. Clever. Went back for Bevan. Sexton. That's good handball work. Sexton's kick wasn't great, but it still finds Clark. Clark couldn't break the tackle of Bryant, but released Samuels. And then found Davies. Ernst. Bit of confusion on the field. It was never a 50. I think Davies thought, oh, the umpire's hesitating. Maybe this is where I walk forward 50. No. Landwehr inside 50. Well judged. And we're seeing a lot more of what Eloise O'Connor can do today. Played a lot in the VFLW. I want to say Williamstown, happy to be corrected, where Jasmine Carver was a teammate. Played for Aspley before in the COVID year. I think she moves around with the Army a bit, if I'm not mistaken. Just through the hands of Moody. Wap Farah outnumbered, but a strong presence. Socket by McNaughton. Daniet's just fumbled. Finds a bit of space. Daniet's over the top. McNaughton has front position. Bounces well for her. Wap Farah went for the impossible angle. It was impossible. Davidson runs out of defence expertly. Out towards Sexton. Circles. Back to Taylor. Sexton in front of the scoreboard. Back over the boundary line. I wonder how, actually this is the first year for Pride Round where we haven't had the 7 colours on the 50, and that's not a criticism, I've just noticed that...
I did notice that as well.
Plenty of rainbow around, don't get me wrong. Including my magnificent waistcoat, I'd just like to point out.
It is. Got my rainbow scrunchie on as well.
I saw that, yes.
Can't forget that.
Oh, I used to be able to wear a scrunchie. Inside 50 for Aspley. They've dominated probably the last 10 minutes, but they have conceded this quarter. Kawa knocked over the back. Barnes getting very involved. Went behind to Davey. Davey looking in space. Got a handball. Didn't quite communicate the run. They have now. And a miss from O'Flaherty. Within 2 goals now.
So they hadn't hit the scoreboard at all first quarter, and now 2-4. So something's clicked for Aspley.
I think also, I mean, for the second time in 2 years, they've visited Fankhauser Reserve and Southport's put 4 goals on them in the first quarter. But it's given them opportunities as there's a bit of holding without the ball, and so Maddie Tallis will have a free kick on the left. But it means you can start to go, okay, next time we're well behind by quarter time, what do we do? How do we handle it? That's just part of the experience of being a competitive athlete. Meyer clears from right half back, looking for Clark. Bryant with front position. And either got the free kick or was paid the mark. As I hope someone got a photo of Tyson in midair taking that mark. Liesi from 48 out with a win behind her. She's got distance, needs a big bounce, didn't get it, and I really wanted it. Not because I'm biased, but because Lucia Liesi. 3 goals on the opening day of the season, only 4 since, but not always her role. Just missed out on the Queensland centre role this year, but I think once Steph O'Brien relinquishes that role, I think Liesi's next cab off the rank. Free kick to Bond as I think there's a bit of holding off the ball. Been a bit of holding the player, but I think that's indicative of the tackling pressure. Good work again from Davey. I think Davey's been Astley's best so far, just terrorising that midfield. That was an accidental trip in back play. I think the umpires nailed that call with allowing play on, and Sexton took a comfortable mark at right half-back. There's Bond, and Sexton almost never does that.
Don't know what it is about that pocket, but Bond just unable to break away from it. The pressure from Aspley as they're coming out of the defensive kick-out, just too strong.
As the runner in pink just did a big left turn, so she didn't concede a free kick for her side. Good front position work again, and Meyer will run it out. She loves to attack Meyer, but she's had to defend today as the ball bounces back between her and Perry. Couldn't get the ball, so she got Perry as they form a small conga line. Always love a good walking tackle. High contact. Astley free kick to Anstey. O'Flaherty's up front. Liesi's gone a bit wide. A lead from McNaughton, but well tracked by Blair. And in the end, bit indecisive. Is able to be cleared by Balcom. But then turned over again by O'Connor. O'Connor drives it deep. Good positioning at the back from Abby Bevan, who's had to drop back a long way. And whether it was for her being infringed or someone else, she's got the free. minute remaining, Hannah. Some thoughts on the second quarter that you might like to slip in? It's definitely been Aspley's.
Yeah, it certainly has been. I think that wind is actually probably having more of an impact than we thought. You can see already Aspley able to turn that one over really quick. They've got 45 seconds.
Liesi has front position, well tracked by Sexton. It's a walking tackle festival. I love it. And in fact, I think the ball was cleverly disposed of before Liesi could complete the tackle. So she concedes the free. But I think she'll get as little criticism as Davidson did before.
As we head into the second half, though, we could absolutely be seeing what is a seesawing match. Bond Uni just the one major this term. Aspley with the 2 and 5 behinds.
Out on the full. I believe that's Drew Barnes in the pink boots. This needs to be marked before the siren, and it was always unlikely.
So our goal kickers for the second term, Emma McNaughton from Aspley and Bella Davies from Bond University Bull Sharks. Aspley trailing 2-5-17 to Bond 4-3-27. We'll be back for another epic second half very soon.
Inside this building is a simulated hospital ward, a high-tech biomechanics lab, a commercial kitchen, and a whole virtual home. Let's explore the new Bond Institute of Health and Sport in just 61 seconds. This is the 12-bed simulation hospital ward. From day one, Bond students gain hands-on experience in allied health and exercise science. This is the Work Play Lab, which gives students the opportunity to provide occupational therapy for our youngest, while the Activities of Daily Living Lab simulates a full home environment, giving students the chance to practice mobility work with our wisest. From sprinting to golf swings, this track can track it. Using pressure sensors and high-speed cameras, it can analyze anything from age-related conditions to elite sports training. Wow. The Kitchen Lab has solar-powered sustainable cooking stations, giving postgrad nutrition and dietetic students access to commercial-grade equipment.
Thank you.
Why don't you come and check out the Bond Institute of Health and Sport for yourself? Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympic since '92? How do they do it? I've got 61 seconds to race you through the life of a student in the Bond Elite Sport program. Strap in. Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain, supporting student athletes like Mia. Student athletes have access to flexible study loads, adjusted academic requirements, and tutoring. The top tier of student athletes even receive funding to assist with their travel and competition costs. Bond also runs 4 high-performance sporting programs that field competitive teams. There's netball, rugby, AFL, and swimming. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Whether it's producing world-class athletes or offering scholarships to high-achieving students every single year, sport is alive and well at Bond University.
2 quarters down in this match. 10 quarters out of 16 done for the day, but I'm more concerned about the 6 to come. It's been fabulous football across Jarrah Corporate Pride Round, this being round 12 with the Bond University QAFLW. On field right now, the grand final rematch, and Aspley a lot more in touch than they were at Brighton Homes Arena last August. They trail by 10, 2-5-17. Their goal scorer, Emmett McNaughton, has 2. And Bond University Bull Sharks 4-3-27. Their goals to CJ Landwehr, Sonny Hewitt, Abby Bevan and Bella Davies. My name's Daniel Viles. With me is Hannah Davies. Hannah, weather conditions on this match, I mean, first of all, skillful match. We've seen each side have the benefit of conditions. Tell me what you know.
Well, look, it's a journalistic cliche to talk about the importance of the third quarter, the premiership quarter, if you will. But I
just heard Jeff Newman applaud. Keep going.
I think this game really, really tells that story. You know, we've seen Aspley gone from no touches on the scoreboard to now 2-5-17, and of course Bond just the one major in that second term. This is the time now for Aspley to really hold on. They can't really get, as you said, more than 10 away. I'd love to see them bring it into another major. And conversely for Bond, well, they've got the wind on their side, and after half of this game now, you can really tell how much of an impact it's having. So for Bond Uni, I think the clear message from Andy Lovell was going to be get out there, kick as many as you can, because in the fourth term, Aspley are going to be coming back even harder.
Of course, the wind is also sorry. First of all, everything you've just said is correct to my knowledge, and I certainly agree with. There's a flag on the boundary over to our left, and I was about to see if our camera person Connor on camera could switch over to it, and then I saw that as quickly as it started fluttering about madly, it stopped again. So he had to do nothing in the end, which is good.
And the other thing to note is that this Aspley team tend to come away after half-time with a renewed fight. So this third term, well, if I haven't sold it to you already, don't think there's anything else I can say to get you excited for it.
It's the Hannah Davies Premiership Quarter in the Jarrah Corporate Pride Round in Bond University QAFLW, with the eponymous team getting the first clearance. Well, they're just thrown backwards. It was a good effort from Maisie Evans in the end. Got forward. They're nearly inside 50 until Eloise O'Connor says, not on my watch. Then had it knocked from her grasp. Khalija found the wide run of Maya. Fumbled. Still has a lot of time. Back to the safety of Khalija. Her kick the ball drop didn't work for her. O'Connor was picked off. Fell to Sexton. She was brought down. Ariana Clark putting pressure on in the forward line. Alana Perry, who needed to be reminded. I suspect that they're now running the other way. Oh, behind Tiana Ernst. Just went awry. Perry does well. Just comes over the top of Thompson. Lands in between her and Tallis. Tallis goes for the safety of the boundary line.
Yeah, Daniel, my heart just stopped a little bit there watching Aspley run that close the other way.
Yeah, it's one thing if they're passing across goal and, just sticking passes to the chest, but when it's being just sort of fumbled across goal. Air swing in defence. Comes out to Tallis. They've done well. Wonderful hassling from Taylor. She's made a career out of that. Hands in the back. And Taylor wins the free kick, which is reward for getting front position. 81st match in this competition for Charlotte Taylor. A lot of those at Wilston Grange. Year at Yeronga, now at Bond. Fallen through Van der Weel. Oh, she ran from a fair way out. Little dangerous from Van der Weel, but ends well. Thompson, who had more kickouts than hot dinners. That's an old phrase, Daniel. She goes east side. Finds Ernst in space. Just fumbled. She seemed to have the sun in her eyes as well. It's a north-south facing ground, but the sun just getting a little low. There's the tangle of players on the ground like audio cables.
And Aspley just seemed to be playing with despair down in their defensive line as well. Tiana Ernst just floating off ball.
Tallis tries to run it out. Good harassment from Sexton, who then puts a second effort on. And I'm interested in what you're seeing about the structures and the difference between the team going with the wind and the team going against the wind. But if you're a spectator here listening to this and you're sitting at the southern end of the ground, stop it, go at the other end. And as I say that, oh, well cut off by Blair. Knocked it in front, but a good run through the middle. I think that was O'Flaherty. Up towards Daniels. Daniels will put it inside 50. Wat Farah trying to get goal side, and the ball took a right angle turn. Wat Farah's on her own. Balcombe did superbly. Just knocks it outside 50. Needs a run. Landwehr's nearest to it. And finds a run of Taylor outside.
And I've got to touch back on Balcombe because she has had the job on Wat Farah for today, and she is doing a fantastic job of it. And it's not to discredit Wat Farah. She's also, you know, in good form as normal, but Balcombe just sensational.
I think the important thing to say there is Wat Farah has established a reputation for her football skills. Balcombe is building hers, and it's been growing by the week this year. And disappointment for Bond that she was out for a month with concussion, as Anstey had the mark but was under pressure from Meyer. Knocked through to Evans. Through to Bevan. Bevan deep inside 50, looking for Clark. And that's her first forward 50 mark for the, oh, it should have been her first forward 50 mark of the day. Handball's inside. Just able to get free was Meyer. And then towed through by Kendall. Ugly, who cares? 6 points for Bond.
Fantastic from Kendall, Daniel. But I want to take that back a little bit because that was 2 times in a row that the Hornets tried to go through the guts and 2 times that it didn't come off. So with a team like Bond, who are structurally very strong, that is a risky move. It is quicker, and of course they are trailing now, but by even more now, but it is a risk that it's going to be difficult.
Excellent point, Hannah, and I love your work in the commentary box. This is where I had someone, you know, I wish I had, I don't know, Beck Goddard in the commentary box who could talk about the tactics that you employ when you're trying to get out of, you know, defending with a stiff breeze blowing in your face.
And again, here's Aspley down the guts. Spill that to the side, though.
Good work going. Oh, picked off by Daniels. Runs away from Moody. Sass around the outside. Looking for Wat Farah. Balcombe again. Katara Wat Farah from, I want to say Cairns, certainly North Queensland. Balcombe from Newcastle.
Not that you don't like to talk about Newcastle,
No,
Daniel.
no, never. Now, anytime Sophie Balcombe, Taylor Gregory, Jasmine Rivers get the ball, no, I never mention it. Flat throw in, of course, difficult for the boundary umpires today as well. Hannah Brennan from down that way as well. Played mostly reserves this year, Hannah, but she was important last year. Good pick up from Sass. Important period of play. Bond scored a goal into the wind in the second quarter. And they're breaking away now through Nolan, making sure they don't concede in this quarter. Kendall found Nolan around the outside. This is a beautiful counter-attack from the Bull Sharks. Just couldn't keep the ball in and find Clark.
No, and they didn't really have a lot of options either. Because of this wind, Bond's defence just pushed up pretty much into the square. There was no one in the 50. And I think it left them a little bit reeling from that.
So just thinking about alternatives of how you play that. It's Hewitt, been good in attack and defence today. Davey, one of the best for the Hornets so far today. Good work around the outside. I suspect that's out on the full from Andrea Hurd. She's playing her second game in top grade this year.
I was just thinking, Daniel, I feel like the reason why Bond can potentially do that is because they have the speed of Clark and Kendall and Bella Davies down there.
And the wind enabling
forwards.
them to take long shots.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I mean, that's probably the reason why it's being done. But you did pick up a very important point about where it can leave you short, as that ball appears to have gone out in the full. So Aspley keeping it sort of wide, but Davidson will clean up. Tries to go underneath the Aspley defence. Figuratively. O'Flaherty wrapped up. Worked very hard today, O'Flaherty. And I think the strength in her game has improved over the time I've been watching her in this competition. First at Grange and now at Aspley. She's always been a hard running left footer, but I think the physical side of her game has really developed.
So just under 12 minutes now to play in this third term, and Bond again using the momentum of that win to push them forward in this match.
Hewitt to Evans. Just felt, that was a weird breeze. I'm not sure what the wind did there. As McNiven was trying to go around Clark. Clark on the snap. Bit far across. Lead out to 18 points. And again, if I can just destroy the laws of mathematics for a moment, apologies Isaac Newton if you're listening. There's a difference between the psychology of a 19-point lead and an 18-point lead, because the team behind something goes, oh, we have to score 4 times now instead of 3. Trust me, it happens. If you want to know about sport, listen to an overweight, middle-aged white man.
So there's been a push in the back there.
That's a much better thing to talk about.
Free kick to Aspley. Ernst to take this. Oh,
Sexton battered from behind by
there.
Kawa, yes. Sexton would have barely felt it. She's that tough. Inside to Moody. Pressure on her pass, picked off by Tyson. Haven't called her name for a little while. Again, not a criticism, just ball hasn't found her. Drives up the line, past Wop Farah, and beautifully taken by Khalija. Infield, a little bit strong from Maisie Evans. Gives Lanigan a chance to get involved. And good support from Sass to make sure that Bella Davies-Shepherd ended up being ineffective. Through the middle to O'Flaherty. Just getting there a bit late was Hewitt. Infield. Just not quite sticking the passes today, Aspley, but at least they've got players in position. Liesi, one of her longer kicks of the day. And remember, that's into the breeze. Kawa.
Already finding more success, though, using the wings. We saw not a lot of success using that channel, centre channel, sorry.
Beautiful from Wop Farah. Gets it through to Danietz. Infield. Finds a run of Tyson. And Bond will be able to clear. One error is all it takes. Landwehr over the back of the contest. Kendall running onto it. Ernst. She read that so early. Has fallen back to Kendall. 2 one-on-one contest. Bella Davies knocks it away from Lanigan.
And she's got no one to go to, though. And again, that's the danger. It's going to go straight into the hands of Ernst. I think they're underestimating Aspley's defence completely. I know they've got great speed, but it is... Oh, here we go.
Cut off by Evie Reeves, who then, just ran over the boundary line. Although, no, don't question it, Daniel. Just ran over the boundary line. Of course, there is a Best on Ground award for each match in today's competition. Mia Gear winning it in the first match for Wilston Grange, and then Lara Mason for UQ, formerly of Aspley, in the second. Been at UQ for at least 2 years now, I think. Back to this game. Davey. I think she'd be close to Aspley's best at the moment. And good pass in the middle. Found Lanigan. They are going centrally. Just went a little bit far for Kawa. Davidson looking to clean up. Got an awful bounce. Wop Farah came from a long way forward. Davidson on the ground. Still escapes. Hewitt's been strong in the middle today. Taylor on the ground. And O'Connor thought about doing a somersault and then decided, no, why bother? Kaslar has been pinch hitting in the ruck a lot today. Just the one goal in this quarter. You could argue that's a win for Aspley, even though they're the ones who conceded it. O'Flaherty goes wide to Danietz. Danietz being tracked by Lightfoot. Over the shoulder. Danietz with a free kick. I think Lightfoot basically just fell into the shoulder, as it were. It certainly wasn't a mistake in the tackle, so to speak. Danietz looking for a target. Coming from the back, I think, was Kawa. It was. She gets onto her left foot. Will be cleaned up by Moody. And well positioned was Taylor. And then to Sass. She won't get there in one kick.
Yeah, it could be clutch for Aspley. Been working hard to bring it down. Been a much more patient side already in this third term.
Hannah Sass. Towards Kawa in the square. Dropped it. She's there. Sockers! Not only off target, but out on the full. But I don't think they'll mind that. They've still pinned Bond in their defensive 50. Just a bit of talk between the umpires about which side of the post it went. I certainly thought it was out on the full, and I've got a great view from about 100 metres away.
And while they work that out, Daniel, I just want to quickly mention, you mentioned Paris Lightfoot before and Courtney Danietz, and those are two names that, sorry, it's been touched.
So it's a boundary throw-in. Rather than a free kick on the full. So apologies for getting it wrong about what the conference was about. Big for Aspley. We'll get back to your point in a moment, Hannah, about Lightfoot and Danietz. Sass finds a bit of space, gets back around Evans. That'll fall in the goal square. McNaughton, not able to get there. O'Flaherty tracking through. O'Flaherty on her preferred side. That is big. Big, big goal for Holly O'Flaherty.
Well, what a fight back from Aspley in this third term. 23-35, so they're holding on. Spoke about that at the halftime break, how important it was for the Hornets to stay within distance. And they certainly are. But my point I was making before, sorry, Daniel, just about Courtney Danietz, I feel like we haven't spoken a lot about her, and I feel like that's because Lightfoot is really doing her best to nullify them. I think Bond have picked a few key targets from Aspley who they view as threats, and they're doing a great job one-on-one to really take them out of the game.
I've been describing that as an Aspley goal into the wind, but I'm looking, there are two Pride round flags on the ground. I'll come back to that in a moment. As Aspley go inside 50 again, essentially one's blowing flat chat and the other one's almost still. Good work up forward from Barnes, and brave work before that from Lightfoot.
And wouldn't this be a great time? Of course, we'll have these in our grand finals series, but to go down to your boundary rider and see exactly what the conditions are like down there.
For those who don't speak the lingo, that was Hannah applying for a job.
Or moving jobs? I don't know. I always love it down on the field, close to the action as I can get.
So moving in towards Paris Lightfoot, and she used her body position well to bring play to a halt. Oh, contact over the shoulder. This free kick to Aspley. I'm not quite sure how the player on the ground could make contact over the shoulder, unless I misread the signal, which is highly likely. Either way, set shot from a fair way out. It's low. Goes underneath Wap Farah. Landwehr will clean up. Big tackle from McNaughton. Releases Wap Farah. Misses to the right. Margin to 11 points. What are we watching?
We feel like Bond have lost a bit of their spark. The last two terms certainly, and you know, with 3:45 to go, have really felt like Aspley's.
Pride round last year, Aspley trailed by 28 points at half-time and came back to win against Yeronga. I've gone back as far as 2016, and that's the biggest win ever in terms of half-time deficit as Tyson goes in. They were down by 4 goals in this game. This is against the Premiers. Yeronga were winless last year. Long way to go, holding off the ball, and Bond will get a clearing free kick through Davidson.
Something else to note, Daniel, is that Gemma Blair currently on the bench for Bond. Now, she had a fantastic impact earlier on in the game. Love to see if she's brought back on soon.
Bursting through is Tallis. Good handball inside. Comes back towards Barnes. Barnes looks for Wap Farah. Balcom does well again, just to put a bit of pressure on from behind. Wap Farah trying to knock it through. There were 3 bull sharks around that ball. Davidson, Tallis, Danietz. Outwitted herself, Danietz. She had so many options. Comes out to O'Flaherty. Wide, looking for the run of Perry. There's a lot of Hornets there. Perry goes aerial. Hits the deck. Danietz was immediately sweated on by a couple of hungry bull sharks. I'm starting to think your premiership quarter may not have been hyperbole, Hannah. That was high contact, Aspley. Emma McNaughton will have the free kick, and the first thing she felt was Courtney Daniette's hands on her shoulder saying, slow down. Take your time, you got this. Yes, she said all that. I'm a brilliant lip reader. But Emma McNaughton, 3 goals against Bond University. She hasn't kicked the third one yet. That should go on your LinkedIn page. A hat trick for Emma McNaughton when it really, really matters.
Yeah, what a day out Emma is having. Being absolutely clutch for Aspley today.
But again, the last 2 goals have come from sustained forward pressure against a defence that is very well organised. Breaking down the Bond defence has driven people to madness.
Yeah, and I mentioned, you know, that is a signature of Bond, is their structures. And if you can begin to wear that down, well, that is very, very important. And all like that, we're within 5 points.
And I'm such a good analyst of Aussie rules that at the beginning of this quarter, I predicted the exact opposite. Hannah got it right.
So a bit of feeling there between Gabby Roberts and Charlotte Taylor. 2 fierce competitors.
And really nice people as well, so that's kind of entertaining to watch. Aspley inside forward 50 again. Good handball inside. Davidson cleaning up. Davidson has worked mightily today. Moody looking for Taylor. And I don't normally mention personal relationships on the field, but given that they were just in the one piece of play. Oh, in fact, wrong time to mention it. Davey has just flattened Taylor. I'm going to hold off that thought. And Davey was wise to listen to the call of the umpire. Yeah, I'll save what I was about to say for later when it's a little bit less heated. Socket from a long way out. Went towards McNaughton. Wap Farah providing a shepherd. Kicking in danger.
My goodness, the game has just turned on its head in the last 10 minutes.
Emma McNaughton, 2 goals in the second quarter, 1 in the third, until this shot after the siren. It's a 4-point ball game. Emma will be disappointed with that. Did the occasion get to her? Who knows? But if what we know about the wind is held, that is an extraordinary quarter from the Aspley Hornets. Bond Uni 5-5-35, lead Aspley 4-7-31. But we think that Aspley will be running with the wind in the final quarter. We hope you're enjoying Jarrah Corporate Pride Round, Bond University QAFLW Round 12.
Today, AFL Queensland Youth Committee has ensured that we continue to provide a safe, fun and inclusive environment for all people, including those of diverse personalities and their youth. Today's Jarrah Corporate Pride Round is an opportunity to raise awareness about the challenges still facing the LGBTQI+ community, our athletes and officials within our sport. We're passionate about helping people live happy, healthy and active lives and celebrate the diversity, ability, skill, backgrounds and the culture of everyone involved in sport. A big thank you to the Aspley Football Club for hosting today, and of course Bond University's ongoing partner of QAFLW. And a big thank you to all vendors, supporters and everyone else that's made today such a success. Cracking game here. One more to follow with Maroochydore and Southport later this evening, so please stick around, enjoy the football and have a great day.
And apparently they were all waiting for my It's a 4-point ball game in a grand final rematch on Jarrah Corporate Pride Round. We are here at South Pine Sporting Complex in Brendale. Bond University taking a little bit more time in their three-quarter time huddle. The goal scorers so far for Aspley, it's 3 to Emma McNaughton, 1 to Holly O'Flaherty. For Bond University, Landwehr, Hewitt, Bevan, Davies and Kendall. My name's Daniel Viles. Hannah Davies, some big consequences for the result of this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Bond did take a little further second in that three-quarter time huddle, and that is because this win is extra important to them. Aspley, regardless, win or lose, will stay at the top of the ladder, but for Bond, well, given their next 2 matches finishing up the season will be against Maroochydore and then UQ, well, if they can get a win and then 2 more, well, that can put them into the top 2, and in terms of finals talk, that is very important.
Gives you that double chance in the finals. Although, interestingly, we have had more teams come from 4th to win a premiership than 3rd. Make of that what you will. Final quarter, not the premiership quarter, apparently. Aspley running to your left in their familiar yellow and brown hoops, but for the first time ever with the Pride rainbow stripes at the base of the jersey. Maisie Evans. Has it turned around? Is the scoring end now the other end? Kaslar broke free of a tackle. Maisie Evans, Sexton. Sexton getting it forward. Bella Davies, good work from Thompson at the back, caused the indecision. Thompson versus Kendall, ball up. For the last 5 years, Bond have finished 1st or 2nd. Apart from the COVID year when we had a strange final 6 where it was all knockout, they've always had a double chance. This would be new territory for them if they have to come through the gauntlet of coming from 3rd or 4th, but they're probably unlikely to finish 4th. They've got another inside 50 as Ari Clark pumps it in. Evans was strong. Sorry, that was Kaslar. Apologies. Saw a shorter option and missed it. Picked off by O'Connor, whose game I've liked today. And I know that Luke Glacken rates his defenders highly. There have been games where he's put 5 defenders in his best 6. Big tackle from O'Flaherty. Coughs it up to Blair. Carver just touching the back, and Blair trying to point that out. Tallis hassling hard. Tallis has become more physical throughout the year. She was good on her debut way back in round 1, but she's much more willing to throw herself around now.
Well, the heat has absolutely turned up in the contest here. Just 4 points. This game means so much to both sides, but possibly more to Bond.
And Aspley's never beaten Bond twice in the 1 year. They've won 1 match against them in each of the last 3. 2 of them away, curiously. They've only beaten them once at home. Tyson tried to run into a wall. This will be an interesting call because he's called a ball up and that's fine, but I don't think there could have been any complaints had he awarded a free kick to Bond. Anstey using the body well. She's been around a while. Won at least 1 premiership with Yeronga and played in grand finals with Zilmir. That was a push in the back, and the free kick goes to Courtney Sexton.
Having a look around the contest here, Sunny Hewitt is just trying to get in the Hornets' head. It doesn't matter who's around her. She's putting on a bit of heat.
Because normally that's Shannon Nolan's job. CJ Landwehr with a free kick. Looking wide. Went to an outnumbered contest, but was possibly looking behind it to where Kendall and Nolan were situated. But it opened it up, and Aspley were able to half run out. That was through McNiven. He's playing well without heels today. Reference story in the first quarter. Taylor wrestled off it. Good work by Ernst at the back. Perry goes across the face of goal. Dangerous. McNiven. Davis turns it over with help from Collegia. Charge down important from Liesi. Wrapped up by Davies. Probably the wrong decision to come across goal, but a couple of important moves meant they got away with it. For now. Remember, for all the momentum that Aspley have, it's Bond who leads. Evans at the front. Goes underneath Ernst. Kendall. Holding off the ball, free kick to Aspley. And I think, that was against Kaslar, because after Ernst had disposed, she was still held as she ran free. And she goes wide and kicks it away. Possibly misread the run of the half forward. Landwehr had an excellent game. Nearly landed on Hewitt. Nolan pushed it forward. She'll win a free kick here.
And a really interesting matchup down the end there. Kendall on Thompson. Kendall would absolutely have to have the speed, but Thompson's smarts can't be underestimated.
Shannon Nolan had an excellent year. Just off target, but I don't think Thompson realised it was off target. She turned around very nervously after her hand missed the ball. Brings the lead out to 5 points. It's taken 5.5 minutes to get anything on the scoreboard in this final term. And I'm giving up working out what the wind is doing. Through the hands of Anstey. Well done by Landwehr. So if Bond get up, Landwehr would be close to best on ground. The number of times that she's been able to either work out of midfield as Aspley get it away, Lightfoot will clean up. Beautiful work from Lightfoot. Pretended to go in 3 directions and sprinted away in a 4th. Samuels. Again, looked for Lightfoot. Lightfoot has more work to do. Breaks a tackle. The kick wasn't great, but everything up until then was.
And that's several times now Bond's defenders have been able to pick up the crumbs as it comes down. Here's potentially another.
Moody this time. Good handball to Samuels. Wrapped up by Bryant. Brought to ground strongly. And Jamie Bryant doing what she's famous for. Anstey against Maisie Evans. Well taken by Vanderweel. Had to start sprinting for that about 5 seconds before the ball was kicked. Put Davey in a bit of space against Davidson. Kawa wrapped up strongly by Davidson. I think I'll just keep it at Davidson and Tyson for the draft this year. That's enough recommendations. So to all the recruiters listening to this broadcast and taking my opinion incredibly seriously, there's your tips. Five points to Bond. They've never really played a thriller, these two. Actually, sorry, that's a complete lie. First game of last year at Aspley when Aspley kicked 2 goals late to defeat Bond. So they have. Maisie Evans out the front. Landwehr looking wide. Not her sweetest kick. And Thompson's tackling was tough. But inside to Nolan. Nolan gets away from Lanigan. The chip kick doesn't work, but she has a second opportunity. Given space, Shannon Nolan! And even she doesn't know how she's missed that.
Yeah, massive missed opportunity there. Bond still holding on, but it does feel like Aspley have control just now.
So 4th year in this competition, Shannon Nolan, and this year's been her best. Started off last year with a bang. Ended up being best on ground in the reserve grade grand final last year against Cooperoo. They've turned it over, back in towards Nolan, and she will have the bit between the teeth now. We may see her kick this with anger. My point is she's a classy player, and that was atypical what we saw before. Looking for the lower option. Off the hands of Ernst. Trickles through again. The lead is now beyond a goal. On such small margins, our game's decided. Not Shakespeare.
So far Bond done a fantastic job of keeping it back in their 50 as it nearly goes back into their possession.
And Gemma Blair just seeing it fall through the breadbasket. But it's Bond's quarter. Good charge down. That was Clark. And turned over to Samuels. Educated left boot. Puts it into the path of Nolan, who streets everyone around Lanigan. Nolan for redemption. Maybe it'll come.
She'd have to be kicking herself.
She'd miss.
Oh, God. That's tough.
I humbly apologise to Shannon Nolan for that previous joke.
She's had all the right options, though. She's been doing a fantastic job, just unable to finish.
Ernst clears. In my defence, that's a really old joke, so
We forgive you, Daniel.
I appreciate it. And I did just spend the last few minutes praising Shannon Nolan's form this year.
Well, Daniel, we always say that when we criticise players in this commentary box, it is only because we've seen their potential and know how hard it is.
It's also because I know I'm cursed and the opposite usually happens. Thompson clears. Good work from Van der Wiel prior to that. Good work from Samuels. But then picked off, I believe that was Davey. Davey in the middle now. Wonderful semi-charge down from Clark and releases it for Landwehr. Landwehr, O'Flaherty, Tyson. Tyson weaving through traffic. Just got away from the tackle of Blair. Falls into the path of Barnes. Was she held off the ball? Umpire allows play on. Watt Farah. The handball out just goes behind. Might have been, sorry, it was Sass. Tyson looking for space anywhere. Handballs it over. Blair clears. This next mark is important. And it's taken very, very well by Bella Davies. She comes wide to Kendall. And the bomb is diffused. Through the middle, Nolan stepping both ways around Ernst. And then expertly finding Bevan. It's a fair way out, and I think we can see, understandably, a bit of fatigue setting in. So I dare say Bevan's looking to the square. Although if someone like Collegia were to just dart across the front of goal now, there could be a shorter opportunity. Goes to the square. Hits the ground. Thompson, like a rugby halfback, tries to grab that from the back. Kawa was maybe lucky to get a whistle just before the ball was ejected from her grasp.
And look at Aspley just send all their numbers down there.
It's time for a flood. Davies knocked forward. Perry at the back. Maybe not the time to go check side. Taylor got front position against Roberts. Davey again. It's been almighty today. Landwehr with a fend. Taylor. Grubber kick. Ernst in front position. Breaks 2 tackles. Davey. Tyson. Big chance for Aspley here. They're more than a goal behind. They need to score twice. Roberts chasing through. Trying anything to knock it forward. There was enough pressure from the defender. It's Evans who put it forward. And it came to Kendall. Apologies. Let's get a message from Hannah in a moment. Lovely mark. And probably one of the very few defensive lapses from Aspley in the last half an hour or so. Went through Reeves. Cleaned up by Thompson. She wasn't able to connect with Evans. It was Andrea Hurd, who I wasn't quite able to identify a bit earlier, who did very well in defence. Good work again from Davey. Turned over to Sexton. Not able to get a clean kick away. Attack from Bryant. Tackle from Bryant, rather, as Bevan tried to get away. And eventually Carr was able to clear. They're going route 1. Ari Clark says no.
And look at this calm play from Bond right now. Just saw the hands from Clark. And that's the leadership. She's stepping up on 6.5 to play.
Only 24, Ari Clark, but has played AFLW. Lived a bit of life. Just get you to analyse how Bond are choosing to attack in a moment, Hannah. Cut off by Davies. Steps inside. Doesn't get enough space. Thompson will clean up. Tries to wrestle away. Clever. Got it past to Lanigan. She knew it didn't go 15. Collegia will mark that.
Well, look at the numbers from Aspley down there. They are flooding the area, so Bond have to be precise.
Looking over the far side for Reeves. Missed the ball, but then put the tackle on. Scored an absolute world-class goal at the reserve grade grand final, Levy Reeves. Commentator mucked it up, but the goal was brilliant. Back towards Tyson. Van der Wiel. There's enough pressure on. Lanigan looks to clear and connects with Daniels, who dropped a long way back. There's not a lot up front. Only 3 players, 2 of them in white shirts, in the left-hand half of the field. Working through Liesi.
Absolutely got to maintain possession here. On just 5 minutes to go, and they need just one to put them back. But there's Clark again.
Yes, and Balcom giving a good protection in front. Good team play. You don't get a stat for providing an assist for your teammate like that. Samuels and Sexton towards Collegia. Knocks it inside to herself, but at this stage, you're right. Aspley don't need to play panic football or belt it football to win this game. 2 goals constructed. They've got 4.5 minutes to do that. And silly us have to worry about best on ground as well, which in a game, it seems almost unfair to signal someone out. There was off-the-ball contact. Had nothing to do with Grace Moody.
Well, how important is this right now? Given a chance, the Hornets.
Liesi fumbles. Grace Moody leaves it for Nolan. Clark. Clark dropping back has been brilliant. Kendall putting pressure on Lanigan. Lanigan couldn't knock it far enough. Kendall looking forward, finds the run of Davies. Played a very good game. I think given that we do have to place votes on this at the end of the game, I mean, Landwehr is probably the one who I think has had the most influence in this game, but by no means unique. McNiven did well in defence, then burst through a couple of tackles, Bevan and Sexton, but the kick was in hope rather than all that well designed. Lanigan putting pressure on up front. Apologies, that was O'Flaherty. Perry goes wide, looking for the run of Watt Farah. Bounces over both of their heads. Balcom, who I think has to be in the consideration as well, given that she's kept Watt Farah goalless and turned over the ball back the other way so much.
Yeah, no doubt about that one, Danielle. I was just looking down at Sophie's name and thinking what a game she's had today.
And even though she's missed some shots, just the energy of Nolan and her ability to restart the play, I don't think I'd give her 3 votes, but...
Well, it's players like that that keep you fighting and that keep momentum going and pushing stronger. You know, you need those players who are going to add a bit of spice to your final term, even when you're ahead.
Through to Perry. I think it's one of those games where when it's close, you can give best on ground to a losing side, but I think I'd want to see Aspley get up before I nominate someone like Jess Davey, for example, who I think has been brilliant in the middle of the park. Tyson's had a very good game. I think it's just because I'm used to seeing her have astronomical games and I'm looking at her and fighting the edge to go, yeah, not that strong today. She's been brilliant. It's just not Super Louise. Liesi tied up by Sexton and Clark. I defy anyone. 2 minutes left. If Aspley win it from here, the next 2 minutes will be on replay in the Aspley clubhouse for the rest of history. Meyer clears, good work from Kaslar, and wins a free kick for contact off the ball. Advantage is paid. Nolan down the near side, goes over the head of Collegia. Another one, not sure she's in the votes, but Ella Collegia's great. Elise McNiven, that's her best kick without heels I've seen this year. Back up to the D, didn't quite have the desired effect, but it was absolutely the right thing to do. And Perry tied up, but they were up against the wall probably from about the halfway of the second quarter through to most of the third quarter, really, Bond University.
I think they've just remained really calm is what I've loved. And, you know, they've just had support from every angle, particularly on that kick out from Aspley. They've just been really precise with, you know, their forwards playing a defensive role.
Well, Hannah, you've got final say because you've got the phone that'll send the text message, but my choice would be BOG, so it'd be CJ Landwehr. Kendall through the middle. 45 seconds. I think Bond have done enough. It's going to be an 8-point victory. And of course, it, amongst other things, it gives Southport an opportunity at the minor premiership. They play in the next game against Maroochydore. They may be about to put a full stop on it now. Samuels just overcooks the kick, and that's well taken by Lanigan at the end. And Aspley, perhaps appropriately on a day like this, they want to finish with pride. And just to put a full stop on the day in the closing seconds, congratulations to Katara Wap-Farah on her recent marriage, and also to Charlotte Taylor and Grace Moody on their recent engagement. And I don't normally comment on personal relationships here, but it's Pride Round, and they're proud of what they've achieved off the field. And Bond University should be absolutely proud of what they've achieved on the field. 5-9-39, Aspley 4-7-31. A brilliant comeback. Remember, they were 4 goals down at one point. But Emma McNaughton's hat-trick, plus Holly O'Flaherty's goal, were the 4 goals for Aspley. 5 different goal scorers for Bond: Landwehr, Hewitt, Bevan, Davies and Kendall. Hannah Davies, some closing thoughts from you.
Yeah, it was a fantastic comeback from Aspley. I think they should be very proud of that, and it's good to know they have that in the bank for games, and especially for finals, to be able to come back and have another crack. But I think Andy Lovell would have to be very happy with his side's level of composure, particularly in that 4th quarter. We mentioned some best on CJ Landwehr, Jacinta Kendall and Sophie Balcom for me. I think her role, particularly in shutting down that key forward in Katara Wap-Farah, was fantastic. I think they forced Aspley to have to rethink their structures. But what a fantastic game, and it's a little bit of taste of finals. And if that's the case, well, it's going to be very exciting.
Hannah, thanks for your work today. We'll see you next week at Zups Aspley Oval for Aspley versus Wilston Grange. Thank you for your company in this match. One more match remaining today, that between Maroochydore and Southport on this ground. It should be a recommended video just to the side of your YouTube feed. But thank you for joining us for this wonderful encounter, the 3rd match of Jarrah Corporate Pride Round in round 12 of the Bond University QAFLW.